What's bad, YouTube? And welcome to the house. This is not an announcement I'm looking forward to making, but already did on Twitter and Discord. Monday night, we will be dropping big 3 deals from the sponsorship here on the channel. I have requested my code to be removed, which has not yet, but right now you cannot check out on their website. And I don't know if this is due to chargebacks or self-imposed until they get things fixed, because again, the main issue I'm having here is communication. I do feel like there are people that try to get things done and get things righted, and with this, it was an error with their labeling system, both for Age of Overlord, which all orders as far as I know have been fixed, and then Rarity Collection, where instead of individual boxes, cases got shipped out, and then they're trying to get things righted as I understand it, but I've had no contact myself since November 8th, and I have re-forwarded multiple people since then, and also had, I think, about a total of 17 different people with issues sent their way, with no replies, which is highly unusual at this point. Usually within a week to 2, I'm gotten back to, like, I'll fix this is going to be righted, and at this point, they seem relatively no contact. I've also heard they used to have an amazing local community, so many good stories out of there, and the shop's been closed for renovation, as I was told now, for a very, very long time. For all these reasons listed, I want to hold them and myself accountable and end this in a public fashion like this on my main social, because I think answers are important, and I think relaying that kind of communication is also important in this day and age. When most YouTubers take sponsorships, they see the sponsorship as the check, and more YouTubers could realize it's the audience that is paying that check, and the sponsorship gives it back through. It is you all that pay me, and they hold the money and offer a product/service that is worth it, and I have so many other people to choose from and bring to you, and I want to make sure that it's not just product getting in your hand, usually in a timely fashion, unless something goes wrong. Like, somebody brought up the 2021 tins, that was Waves, that was Konami, and they left stores to end up explaining it to you all for a while. So when it comes down to situations, I don't mind being a mouthpiece or relaying customers. So many people apologize saying, I know it's not your job, but could you ask Big 3 about this or forward it? It is my job, because I put them on the screen, and you hold yourself to that standard. If I'm bringing them to you, I will bring the customer and tell that to them, and that's worked for a long time. With Tier 0, I've only had one issue ever. It was very early on. Boral Sword was a new card and relevant. There was an issue with it, and I think they gave the guy full store credit back for it and refunded them on top of it. Like Tier 0 is legendary, and Gamer's Choice has had very, very, very few customer service issues as well. The recent One Piece thing we talked about, right? So I feel like with this, I want to make sure it's product and customer service working forward. Like Man of Moon got brought up for them not fulfilling orders in a timely fashion. They have now put on their website a calendar for product updates on the main website, since people said I shouldn't have to keep up with the socials. They have adjusted, pivoted, and worked, and yeah, things have gotten a lot better in terms of manufacturing time, but they hold themselves to the next standard and fix things, is why I have them on board still. So with Big 3, I just feel like between the 2022 10 issue, not 2021, 2022, where they had pallets of their tins stuck on a truck where they could not access them, and terrible customer service during that was my first strike. Then Rarity Collection realistically was the second strike, but seeing how they've handled it, I'm ending it here. And again, right now, you can't check out on their site, but the code no longer supports me. I asked for my final payout to be used to actually just help with whatever customer needs are there, and I've still had no contact. That being said, let's go ahead and get into more drama here. I want to call out MST-TV's pick for a card. This is more realistically going to talk about one of my bad picks as well, because I don't throw stones in glass houses here, but when you mix player brain with market brain, this is what happens sometimes. Try Edgemaster, they pointed it out early, and I actually remember agreeing with the pick. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good, but now that it's at this price, I wouldn't, and it just skyrocketed. And it did see, I think, a very little success at tournaments, but since it is now the most populated quarter-century rare for sale on the entire market out of Battles of Legend, the only one above 50 listings. Like, we even go to the second page here, and it actually ends up being the most populated. Again, the only one over 50 net listings. Now, I myself have made bad calls this year. Gravekeeper's Inscription. DB Grinder jumped on this bad one with me, and it actually panned out within the metagame for a while, and it didn't even spike back to pre-sale prices, 12 to 15, if I recall. Where it's like, yeah, this card, I think it's gonna do it. It seems pretty good. It seems cheap. It seems underestimated. And yeah, it just didn't pan out. So with market watches in general, don't make financial decisions based only on what's being told to you. And sometimes, like I said, my player brain will agree. We are not financial advisors. We don't know the future of metagames. We don't know how things are going to pan out and how things will combo, and can often be right for the wrong reasons. So do consider that when it comes down to picks from me, MST, DB Grinder, anybody realistically that's telling you about a card. Use your own, also thought process with this on, will it pan out? Well, again, I agreed with this one personally. I agreed with myself and DB Grinder on this one, and sometimes things just don't pan out like that. But you know what did pan out? Hungry Burger, baby. We got stonks in here. I was totally right. I told you the ceiling for this was high and the bottom out was 30 because so many people were waiting. Yeah, it only took a master duel. So many people told me they were gonna buy this one at 30. That's the Yu-Gi-Oh market for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now with Age of Overlord, I actually wanted to go through and talk about specifically the Snake Eye Sutff really doing well for itself lately, and just how good this set is doing. I feel like with Fire Kings after the next set, you're going to see, I believe that's Phantom Nightmare, by the way, you're going to see Snake Eye Sutff do relatively well and even mix with Fire Kings, but we're waiting until that set for the combo to really appear, and so many people are on it, and so many of the Snake Eye cards are up in price. I don't know if I'm clicking the right tab. Yes, I am. So the Sinful Spoil and Snake Eye Sutff doing really well. I would actually start eyeing this ultra rare. It's in so many lists in the OCG, and it has already been trailing up slowly. I would get that sooner than later using my TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying if you're looking at trends from there. But again, sometimes things don't pan from the OCG to the TCG. Sometimes they do it late. I do feel like there's a lot of hype around this, and I feel like this card ends up in so many lists, yet is kind of overshadowed by the, oh, get the secret rare, go get that. Ultra rares are still very hard to get, and some of those lists play quite a few of these. Duelist Nexus is one of the worst performing core sets since Shadow Specters. That's kind of sad to say. It really felt like an early DLC that didn't pan out. So many cards in here are just going down over time though, and might be good to pick up long term, but you also have reprint clocks, so go for the highest rarity ones, in my opinion, when you do, like Dark Corridors back down a good amount. But yeah, look at this. The boxes are just so sad. It's really bad. And what can you pull out of them? Not the most, but I still feel like this one could end up going later to where you have some of the singles end up doing well because people don't want to rip open the sealed. Bottomless Trap Hole super rares are mad up. This is what I talked about forever ago, where I was like, you know what? This is its price back in the day at 70. This is pre-crush card price booms. But yeah, super bottomless went from underappreciated to damaged ones are now selling for $300. And the lowest near mint on market quoted is $800. Now, do they have crazy sales? In my opinion, yeah. Heavy play at $300 is insane to me. It is wild to see some of the money actually spent on damaged bottomless trap holes super rares. Kashtira Riseheart is finding his way into multiple decks, and people are also speculating on if Kashtira could come back into a metagame depending on the list. That's heavy banlist speculation, which I'm not really here for, but it having its way into other current decks is really causing it to rise up in price. $12 solid at this point, with sales even bubbling past that multiple at 15. Dakota Talker Heat Soul's one I would never bet against. I really felt like when this card came over, like to the TCG, it got over speculated on when it appeared. Ghost from the Past, right? And this card, I also thought would be one that people would want to get, but how sets go, with reprint sets, sometimes everything bottoms out when it's a stinker. Deco Talker Heat Soul's Quarter Century rare, though, is not, and it is rising as fans go towards it. And I feel like also in Master Duel, I'm seeing it see a lot of play with Math Mech, so that could also be a make my deck in real life thing, similar to how the Hungry Burger buyout actually happened. These are towards $10 at this point. And then finally, a card that I didn't even know existed. Noble Knight Shield Bearer has a buyout. What does this guy do? Your job is to search Rampengu. Noble Knight in a spiritual beast deck. If this card normal or special summon, you can banish the light monster from your graveyard to draw a card. I read that and I was like, okay. But the second effect's what it really does. You can banish this card from your hand or field, so hand, add 1 level 6 or lower wind beast monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use 1 shield bearer effect per turn and only once that turn. So realistically, this is just extra copies of Ram Pengu on demand so that you can, without having to normal, go with your other spiritual beast tamers and then go into it and then combo off. And that seems to be what it's being bought out for from OCG Trends. Be aware this card exists and is doing its thing. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch, and again, thanks for being here. I really love doing this for a job, and there has to be some level of accountability. So for the years that we did have that were good, I really appreciate Big 3 deals, and at some point, if they do right the ship and they have years and years well ahead of them of actually fulfilling product, I will reconsider an option, but I will not until no sooner than 2025, most likely. Like, I really do think they plan to fulfill, but it's just gotten past the point of acceptability in any capacity at this point. Thanks for watching, everybody.